Okay, Ms. Perez, you are doing neither. You are not looking at Excel, you're not looking at database. You are looking at these three, they are fields, okay? What have already been created for this particular database. So you'll see you have neighborhoods, that's one field or one table. You see hosts, that's another table. You see listings, that's another table. And you see reviews, that's another table. So the question is asked, all right? Determine and fill in the field types. Is it going to be a number, a text, a date? All right, so is host ID going to be a number, text, date? First name, is that going to be text, number? That's all you're doing is putting in what's the type? A number for ID, maybe, or a text, whatever it is. First name, last name. Obviously, you would think that these would be text, so they would not be anything but text. Anything that has an ID would have number. Telephone that is a number, and email would be text and number. All right, but we really read text; it wouldn't be number, so it would be text. That's all you have to do in all of these. All right, what's the field type? If you have a name, what's a name? Is it a text? Is it a date? Is it currency? Is it whatever ID? What is ID? What is neighborhood? What do you think neighborhood is? Is a street name a neighborhood group? Group that sounds like it might be a text. Is it number? The same thing with all of these. All right, ID, name, host ID. What is it? Is it what's its type? The next thing you have to do, okay, is identify the key for each table. Remember, the primary key for each table will hold a unique identifier for each record. Just like your social security number or your EMPL ID, identify the individual. Format the primary key in bold. Okay, so if you take a look at host ID, in the table hosts, where else do you see host ID? Do you see it in neighborhoods? No. Do you see it in listings? Yes. So the primary key in host is host ID. All right. Do you see host ID anywhere else? No. All right. So this would be a secondary key, but you have to bold this host ID, all right, to show that it's the primary key. Okay. Let's take a look at something else. Neighborhood. Do you see neighborhood anywhere else? Do you see neighborhood anywhere else? You see a neighborhood ID, but that's not neighborhood. So obviously there's not going to be any communication with neighborhood. However, let's take a look at neighborhood ID. You see neighborhood ID. The primary key means that it will be found in one table and another because the tables have to talk to each other. All right. So the next time you see neighborhood ID is right here in listings. So this is your primary key, neighborhood ID. All right. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Let's look at anything. Listings ID. Look at listings. All right. Here's listings ID, and then you see listings ID over here. Primary key is listing ID because it's shown up in the reviews column. So therefore, okay, your primary key is listing ID. And then what they want you to do is show the relationship. Okay. So if there's host ID over there, how are you going to show the relationship between this host ID and this host ID? You might want to use an arrow, create an arrow. Okay, you know how to do that, in PowerPoint. Listing ID, okay, you might want to show an arrow. Neighborhood ID, you want to show that because these tables right now, if you look at it, they can't talk to each other. But once you see that there's a common type in one table that can talk to another table, that's how you show the relationship. And the only way that that can happen is to have a primary key, which will show up as a secondary key in another column. I'm sorry, in another table. All right. If you still have questions, make sure you ask me. But I think the video might help you. You're not looking at Excel. You're not looking at Access. You're not doing anything except number one, identifying what's the type. Is it text? Is it numbers? Is it currency? Is it date? Okay? In each one of these. Then the second thing you're going to do is look for the primary key. And the third thing you're going to do is show the relationship. All right? And then, of course, they ask you to rename something. Let's see what it is. Yeah, rename this file by adding name and submit the PowerPoint via the assignment link. All right? Any question, please make sure to ask me or come to my office hours next week. All right? Thank you. Bye bye.